Get ready for an exciting return as Ryūga Dōgai makes a comeback in the latest installment of the Garo series. Taking a look at Garo Hagane o Sugamano, or Garo, the one who inherits steel. Now if you're a follower of this channel, you might be wondering, why am I tuning into this series outside of my usual October Garo review? Typically reserved for Halloween, Garo has been my go-to tokusatsu show for the spooky season, even though those videos don't always perform. It's a labor of love. Last year I delved into the Ryūgaverse with Garo the One Who Shines in the Darkness, a series I thoroughly enjoyed and am eager to revisit. Now the Ryūgaverse continued on with a TV and movie series both titled Goldstorm about 9 years ago. And of course, I still haven't watched that yet, so it might seem a little unconventional for me to dive into this first episode, considering the intervening years, but this does allow me to bring a fresh perspective, approaching it as somebody who doesn't know the totality of the series. So stay tuned for my take on this new Garo adventure. And of course, if you're going to watch the first episode, maybe keep in mind that I'm going to spoil some things here. In a tight 24-minute runtime, the plot unfolds with Ryūga Dōgai hot on the trail of a horror, utilizing digital signage to stalk an unsuspecting individual. A mysterious Makai Priestess named Koyori observes from the shadows, casually giving Ryūga a letter as she warns of the imminent opening of the Gate of Destruction. The catch? It's concealed somewhere in Creacity, a seedy city of sin rife with dubious activities, fueling an increase in possessions even for those low in Inga, basically dark negative energy. As Ryūga steps into the frame, the atmosphere resonates with the grandeur of his return. Whether it's the evocative music or his characteristically goofy expressions while conversing with Zaruba and flashing a playful smile, there is an undeniable sense of a triumphant comeback. This impression, I believe, extends beyond the Ryūgaverse and the Garo lineage, making it accessible even to those unfamiliar with the series. Having been out of the loop of the Garo series for basically the last decade, diving into this latest installment feels like a visual revelation. Comparing it to older series, the contrast is striking. The framing and blocking are meticulously crafted, synergizing to elevate the visual elements and significantly enhance the cinematography. Stunts are executed with precision, and the editing strikes a delicate balance, avoiding the pitfalls of either being too frantic or holding onto a shot for far too long. It's a refreshing and visually engaging experience that showcases a commendable evolution in the series' production quality. How this compares to something newer like Garo vs. Road, I'm not sure, but it's definitely the best looking Garo episode that I've seen. This episode treats viewers to 2 monster fights, each with a design that couldn't be more different. The first encounter introduces a woman stalking her prey, creatively using digital signage as portals, adding to both the fun and creepy factor. However, when she emerges from the sign, the cool factor rapidly diminishes. With braids and makeup resembling haphazard eyeliner scribbles, the design falls disappointingly short after a really promising start. The subsequent untransformed fight between Ryūga and the spirit doesn't fare much better, as the monster takes on another form with what can only be described as a demon Viking helmet, ripping off spikes to transform them into weapons. The overall execution feels lackluster, resembling just a regular woman dressed in foam armor. Comparably, it looks worse than a lot of amateur cosplays. While it might work in the right context, here it comes off cheap and uninspired. While not a deal breaker, such an underwhelming monster design, especially in a premiere episode, could significantly impact the enjoyment of a viewer who's looking to be sold on a new show. Fortunately, this episode introduces another monster, providing a refreshing contrast. We're given a quick backstory of a construction foreman entangled with the criminal element. When their scheme is uncovered, the crime boss coerces the foreman to shoulder the entire blame. Fueled by fury, the foreman becomes a vessel for the horror, wielding a hammer to brutally attack everyone in the room. This sequence is masterfully filmed, creating a dreamlike atmosphere with slow-motion shots and visceral blood sprays that immerse the viewer in the sensation of feeling like they're being taken over. Snapping back to reality, the foreman regains control, bewildered by the aftermath and the hammer in his hand. In pursuit of the lone survivor from the crime boss's group, the foreman, now a stalking threat, is poised for a kill. Fortunately, Ryūga intervenes. Following a brief skirmish, the foreman undergoes a transformation into a horror. And let me tell you, hands down, this is my favorite horror design to date. Towering and hulking, it exudes an aura reminiscent of an elder god, suggesting a rich natural lore. armed with a giant club hammer that echoes the former's earlier violent acts. This monstrous creation is both perverse and naturally captivating. The design stands out with its flowing hair and cohesive, exciting movements, creating a sense of unity in its monstrous form. It's a breath of fresh air, and I'm hoping that the innovative ideas behind this design will permeate through the rest of the show's monsters. After the initial disappointment with the first monster, encountering this visually striking horror is a welcome surprise that adds a layer of excitement to the series. As for the Garo armor, the last 9 years seems to have brought a notable change. Garo, the one who shines in the darkness, the armor was sparingly used, predominantly relying on a CG rendered version rather than a practical suit, with an exception for one sequence in the show. While I accepted this as a stylistic choice, I tend to prefer the authenticity that comes with a live suit over a CG render. In the current series, Ryūga transforms into the Golden Knight Garo during the first fight, and the exciting news is, it involves a brand new practical suit. This shift to a live suit for the transformation adds a tangible and immersive quality to the iconic Garo armor, enhancing the overall viewing experience for anyone who appreciates the authenticity of practical effects. This episode also introduces new characters like Soma, a Steel or Hagane Knight, brings another fascinating aspect to the armor lineup in this episode. These suits are bestowed upon knights without a title, and are less intricate than a typical Makai Knight's armor. Yet it's precisely this simplicity that makes Soma's armor stand out and appear particularly appealing. Similar to the Garo armor, Soma's suit combines a physical suit with a seamlessly integrated CG render. What distinguishes it is its more traditional aesthetic, evoking a sense of classicism, especially when compared to the more modern look of the Garo armor. The design leans towards a more traditional samurai style, evident in the thigh guards and shoulder armor, and it's hard not to draw a mental comparison to Zero's armor. And one can't help but wonder if this is an intentional parallel that is there to drive an extra layer of depth to the narrative. Soma's brief introduction at the end of the episode reveals a clear stance. He disapproves of Ryūga's meddling in his city. While the implications are not fully clear, one immediate conclusion could be that this city once lacked protection, prompting an unprepared Soma to don a Hagane suit of armor. Ryūga, on the other hand, might not have an established history with the Makai Knights, but he has garnered recognition by revitalizing the golden armor. This dynamic sets the stage for a potential class struggle between the titled Makai Knights and the more straightforward Hagane soldiers. I like the idea of Soma serving as a representation of a societal divide, adding an intriguing layer to the narrative, hinting at complexities and tension that could unfold as the series progresses. Or I'm just making this all up because I'm not fully up to date with the Ryūgaverse, and I'm sure I'll feel silly for voicing this later. We're also introduced to Koyori. The vividly colored Makai Priestess stands out as one of the brightest in the Garo series, donning neon pink socks, an unusual sight in the Garo universe where such vibrant colors are rare. Eager to delve deeper into the character, Koyori serves as the guide, introducing viewers to the intriguing world of Creacity. While her role as a guide is apparent, details about her character remain elusive. However, a quick and dynamic fight scene showcases Koyori's acrobatic prowess and priestess abilities. The shot of her pummeling the monster and leaving it bemused adds a touch of humor to the mix. It's left me looking forward to unraveling more about this enigmatic Makai Priestess in the episodes to come. For a debut episode, I find this landing nearly flawless. I'm eager to delve into the mysteries of this world, and each character, particularly Ryūga and Soma, captivate my interest. While the initial encounter with the first monster left me underwhelmed, the excitement sparked by the second one overshadows any disappointment that came from the first. Yet, I find myself at a crossroads, and maybe you can help. Should I break away from my Halloween tradition and dive into the Goldstorm movie and TV series? Is it wise to overlook these series and be out of date with the Garo canon? I am uncertain, so any insights would be appreciated. This first episode impressed me significantly. It boasts intriguing characters, a fast-paced plot that adeptly plants seeds for future development, and a visually stunning cinematic atmosphere that I've longed for in the Garo series. The highlight was undoubtedly the monster design, standing out as my favorite across all Garo installments. So maybe I'll see episode 2 next week, or maybe I won't. Either way, I'm High C, and I hope you keep watching.